underground and kept spreading. When the light dissipated, a massive pit appeared in front of Gao Nanshan's ancestor, with blue light scattered everywhere. The force tore the sky apart, destroying all of the shaman tribe's islands. And land, even the underground, was not spared. Gao Nanshan's ancestor shouted loudly, "You brat! Look at my power, daring to plot against me?" Gao Chang'e cupped his hands and bowed, calmly saying, "I've seen it. I've seen it. The ancestor is invincible, unmatched in the world, with extraordinary skills, shaking the heavens." Gao Chang'e gave a thumbs up, thinking, such power with just one move. Has he already broken through to the remnant immortal realm? Gao Nanshan's ancestor shouted, "Where is the other one? Bring him out. I will subdue him as well." The great elder stammered, I. Gao Nanshan's ancestor furrowed his brows and sighed. In the sky, a six-winged golden figure appeared, roaring, "Damn! Damn! These damned young people!" The shaman tribe's ancestor shouted, "Run! Well, he hasn't caught up. Go find the dragon clan for refuge." Gao Nanshan's ancestor stood in front of them and coldly asked, "Run? What are you running from?" He then slapped down fiercely again. Before the shaman tribe's ancestor could react, blue light appeared once more. The people watching from outside were startled, breaking out in cold sweat. One person said, "The Gao family of eternal life, one ancestor is enough to destroy the entire shaman tribe." Another woman said, "I heard the Gao family has many ancestors." A person with horns on his head frowned, his face serious, as if he were pondering something. Inside the tunnel, the great elder said, "I knew we shouldn't have released him. The immortal ancient's legacy is no longer what it once was. How can it withstand his torment?" Meanwhile, Gao Xianer's mouth dropped open, her eyes wide like copper bells. Gao Chang'e sneered below, saying, "Look at you. Had I known this would happen, why did you even start those things? Now, will you surrender, or—" Before he could finish, the shaman tribe's great elder interrupted him, "Surrender. We choose to surrender. Serve as slaves, serve as servants, obey young Master Chang'e's commands, and even die without retreat." Gao Chang'e smiled slightly and said, "All right. I, Gao Chang'e, have always been merciful. I'll give you a chance, but I need your surrender, and I want a verdict, with all the names written on it." This caused everyone to look at each other, worried. The great elder hesitated and said, "This." Gao Chang'e's face turned grim. Gao Xianer said with concern, "I didn't expect him to make the shaman tribe members kill each other." The great elder snorted coldly, "Humph, this brat is a born villain." A bloody storm erupted within the shaman tribe. The great elder painfully said, "What?" After the battle, Gao Chang'e's name became an immortal existence in the hearts of many cultivators. Several hours later, on a giant ship with large sails, someone said, "The immortal gate has appeared. There may be an opportunity for immortality inside." Another person shouted, "Quick! Don't miss the chance." Gao Chang'e stood on one of the ships, thinking, "Steal, steal. The good things have already been taken by me." On another ship, someone shouted, "Wow." Chang'e thought to himself, "The ancestor's rage will soon turn toward me. But his power, I still need to continue using. The immortal lineage isn't helping me? I'll have to find a way." A scheming expression appeared on his face, and he silently thought, "Got it. Gao Xianer, that 7th princess of the Sea King who died for you." Gu Chang'e turned around and said, "Thank you all for your hard work this time." A general from the Taichu demon sect cupped his fists and said, "No, it's nothing. My subordinates only act out of duty." The subordinates all shouted in unison, "Young Master's instructions were followed well, and we are worthy of young Master's attention. We are willing to fight for the Gu family's frontier, even to the Knife Mountain or the Sea of Fire." Gu Chang'e turned around and said, "Very good, let's return to the Tian Tian Palace." Transition to Wushangding. Gu Chang'e stood alone on the arena, gazing into the distance. Yan Gu stood far away and asked, "Young Master, was it successful this time?" She thought to herself, "Before, I could still sense the dangerous aura around you, but now it's as calm as usual. You must have improved your cultivation. Gu Gongzi's talent is extremely rare. And now his strength is probably not inferior to mine." Gu Chang'e turned around and said, "Yan Gu, just in time, I have something I need you to do." Yan Gu knelt in front of Gu Chang'e and said, "Young Master, please give your orders." This made Guchanga feel a bit embarrassed, and he stretched out his hand, saying, "Ah? No need for this." He helped Yenga up and softly said, "I need you to help me find the whereabouts of a few people." Yenga asked, "Young master, who are you looking for?" Guchanga clicked on the notice in the toolbar and replied, "Yes, they have been missing in this world for more than 10 years. Afterward, I will have people spread their information. And I will leave it to you to handle." He took out a stack of talismans and handed them to her, saying, "These are the boundary-breaking talismans. Be very careful when using them." Yengu was surprised, thinking, the boundary-breaking talisman? It was an extremely rare life-saving artifact. She took the talismans and felt their preciousness. Guchanga continued, "If you die, I would really be very sad and blame myself." This made Yengu feel a little embarrassed. She replied, "Young master." She thought to herself, "Such precious talismans, young master gave me so many. Gugongzi truly treats me sincerely." Yengu firmly said, "Young master, rest assured. Yengu will never disappoint your trust." In an abandoned village, 2 beams of light passed through time and space, and 3 cultivators were fleeing. One of them said, "Sigh. This was once the territory of the Taiguzun family, but now it's been destroyed like this." A woman was casting a spell and responded, "There's nothing we can do. Because they offended Taichu Mo." Before she could finish, the woman behind her covered her mouth and sternly said, "Shu. Don't mention that name. Do you want to die?" The 3 were flying on sword energy, and the woman in front asked, "What happened?" Suddenly, a torrential rain fell from the sky, and everyone froze. The woman behind asked, "What's going on?" The man in the group suddenly sensed something. Sweat streamed down his face, and he stammered, That is." A large road appeared on the sea, and the sea water parted, revealing the seabed where a powerful army began to emerge. On the flag, 3 words were written, "Sea King Palace." The man asked, "What are they trying to do with this formation?" The red-haired woman said, "I heard from senior brother when he returned from the immortal ancient era that the 7th princess of the Sea King Palace is already dead. It seems this matter is related to the Gu family." The woman beside her said, "Could it be for revenge?" Transition. A crane flew across. Guchanga sat at the entrance of the palace when suddenly a beam of green light appeared. The Grand Elder, Gu Xiener, and Gu family ancestor walked out. The ancestor smiled and said, "Ha ha ha, Xiener, how was it? Are you satisfied with the treasures from the martial tribe?" The Grand Elder said, "Xiener, you've gained a lot from the immortal ancient era, you must thank the ancestor properly." Gu Xiener stood between them, holding their arms, and said, "Yes, the ancestor treats Xiener the best." "Thank you, ancestor." This made Gu family ancestor laugh uncontrollably. Gu Xiener also flattered, saying, "Of course, master is also very good." This made the Grand Elder laugh happily, "Ha ha ha, little girl." Guchanga stood up, cupped his fists, and said, "I welcome the Grand Elder and ancestor back." This made all 3 of them freeze for a moment. Then, their attitude changed. The Grand Elder asked, "Guchanga, what are you doing here?" Guchanga cupped his fists and lowered his head, saying, "Of course, Changa came to pick up the Grand Elder and ancestor, and I also wanted to check if Xiener's cultivation has stagnated." He raised his head and said, "Oh, it seems Xiener's cultivation has improved a lot since I last saw her. As your senior brother, I feel relieved." Gu Xiener stood behind Gu Nanshan making faces. Guchanga said, "Xiener, do you still hold a grudge against me because of that matter? When I was your age, I had already personally fought my way into the boundless sea. You, on the other hand, can't even handle the princess of the Sea King Palace." Gu Xiener angrily pointed at him and said, "Guchanga, stop pretending. Ancestor, suppress his cultivation, Xiener wants to slap his face." Guchanga raised his teacup and said, "Xiener, don't think you can be reckless just because you have the ancestor backing you. Relying on someone else's power is not the right path. Don't disappoint my goodwill." Gu Xiener was both angry and surprised. She said, You, how can you say such things without blushing? The body of the martial tribe's ancestor hasn't even cooled down yet. Ancestor, look at him." Gu Nanshan laughed so hard that sweat was pouring down his face and said, "Xiener, although this kid is a rascal, what he said is indeed true." Gu Xiener began to act coquettishly to the ancestor and said, "Didn't you promise me before? Why are you favoring him now?" The ancestor smiled awkwardly and replied, ha ha ha, the ancestor is also doing this for your good. He thought to himself, it seems that the enmity between you two is not as deep as it used to be. I know, and of course, I don't want you two siblings to fight to the death. Chang'e, moreover, this kid Gu changes strength, I can barely even see clearly. If it comes to a fight with him, the only one who will suffer is this girl. Gu Chang'e smiled and said, Xianer, do you know what the Sea King Palace is doing now? Gu Xianer asked, Sea King Palace? Then she said worriedly, they won't be coming to take revenge on me, will they? After all, it was you who killed them. Gu Chang'e smiled sinisterly, the matter was caused by you, and others died because of you. Gu Chang'e thought to himself, now, you definitely can't guess. Am I harming you? Or am I training you? But this is good too. This made Gu Xianer's head spin. She said, ah. This smelly troublemaker is really a pain, even more troublesome than Gu Chang'e. Gu Chang'e said to the Grand Elder, I came here this time with something to discuss with you. This made the Grand Elder think, what trick is he trying to pull now? Gu Chang'e said, the Grand Elder once protected the immortal ancient era, but now the immortal sect has appeared, and all kinds of powerful people are flocking to the immortal ancient era. Such changes could destroy an entire dynasty. As long as the immortal ancient era is not unified, the chaos will continue. For the heavenly Tao and the heavenly palace. Isn't this an opportunity? The Grand Elder angrily shouted, as if spitting rain at Gu Chang'e, you still shamelessly say such things. Do you think this change was caused by who? The real culprit is you. The heavenly Tao and the heavenly palace will never intervene in the struggles of any force. This has been the principle passed down from ancient times. Fortunately, Gu Chang'e blocked the rain in time. He said, sigh, it seems the Grand Elder still owes me a favor. Xianer is right, after all, she is a member of the Gu family. If the Grand Elder truly wants what's best for her, he should seriously consider my proposal. Gu Xianer firmly said, Gu Chang'e, don't use me to make things difficult for my master. You must have some bad idea again. The Grand Elder began to show his power and said, are you threatening me? This made Ganam's son start to think. Gu Chang'e pressed his palms together and lowered his head, saying, Gu Chang'e doesn't dare, Chang'e only wants to remind the elder about Tian Ni's identity. I hope the elder will consider this. The elder doesn't dare to rule over the various clans in the immortal ancient, of course, due to concerns about identity. But Chang'e does not have such concerns. Then, the elder released his pressure and laughed loudly, ha ha ha, so you've been waiting for me for this? What do you think is the thing I most want to do now? The pressure began to spread, causing the surroundings to start collapsing. Gu Chang'e stood behind Ganam's son and said, the elder must have misunderstood my meaning. Won't the ancestor speak on behalf of Chang'e? The ancestor will also just watch. Right? Speechless. Gu Tianni angrily shouted, Gu Chang'e. You are shameless. The elder sighed. He said, your tone is too arrogant. How could someone as young as you possibly rule over the various clans in the immortal ancient? Even with your identity, it's impossible. Gu Chang'e smiled and said, this is exactly what Chang'e is thinking about, the elder doesn't need to worry. Ganam's son silently withdrew his cloak. The elder glared at him and said, if you want me to agree, you can, but you must promise that from now on, you will never use any means to harm Tian Ni. Also, even Gu family must recognize Tian Ni. This left the three of them at a loss for words. Gu Tian Ni shouted, Master. Gu Chang'e said, sigh, I don't know why, but it feels like the people around me are all harboring ill intentions towards me. The elder stroked his beard and said, so, will you agree or not? Gu Chang'e stroked his chin and said, a vow? I will forever be bound by others, unable to resist, while others can do as they please. Even if they take my life. This condition is truly too much for me. Please forgive Chang'e, I need more time to consider. The elder grinned maliciously and said, this request is indeed not simple. If you don't agree, I can understand. But about the immortal ancient, the elder sighed. It should have been me who made the vow first, but I didn't expect you, little brat, to have your turn today. But at that moment, a voice interrupted the elder's thoughts, almost causing him to fall. Gu Chang'e said, if this person is Tian Ni, then I agree to this request. He continued, the elder is only protecting her for Tianni's sake, even willing to break the rules. As Tianni's older brother, what's so hard about swearing an oath? Then, Guchanga raised his hand and swore, Guchanga swears. From now on, I will never use any means to harm Tianni, and I will also restore her position in the Gu family. If I break this vow, my soul will scatter. Gu Tianni was stunned in surprise. In front of a massive gate, a shout was heard, Dao Tian Immortal Palace, hand over Gu Tianni. Dao Tian Immortal Palace, hand over Gu Tianni. A group of mermaids confronted 5 subordinates. One of the subordinates of the Tianxian Palace said, the Sea King Palace is making a lot of noise, I'm afraid a conflict is unavoidable. Someone nearby said, the elder hasn't returned yet, what should we do? The person standing in front was speechless. Then, Gu Tianni appeared. She shouted, I'm here. She yelled that one person would cause trouble, and another person would take the blame. The subordinate at the front shouted, Tianni Junior sister. The leader of the Sea King Palace, Hao Miu, said, this little girl is really brave. She knows she's coming to die, so it will save some torment. Gu Tianni was worried in her heart, not sensing his cultivation realm. She said, do you know why the 7th princess died? Hao Miu asked, why? Gu Tianni smiled and said, because her brother tried to frame me, and I killed him. She was also very biased. So she deserved to die. Hao Miu said, do you think that with Dao Tian Immortal Palace backing you, you can afford to be so reckless? Gu Tianni responded, I'm just stating the facts. Hao Miu said, then you can exchange your life for hers. Immediately, Hao Miu's figure and the power of his soon-to-be struck fist were about to collide with Gu Tianni. Gu Tianni was worried, sweating profusely, thinking, how did this happen? It's over. Just as she was worried, Guchanga appeared at the right moment, ready to block Hao Miu's attack. Guchanga asked, what do you want to do? Hao Miu was startled, when did this happen? Then, he was kicked away. Guchanga said, no matter what, you are a great saint, and yet you openly lay hands on a little girl from the Sea King Palace. You really have some nerve. Hao Miu asked, you are Guchanga, the young master of the Gu family, what do you mean by this? Are you going to protect her? Guchanga coldly said, what do I mean? Don't you understand? Tianni is a member of my Gu family, how can you affect her life? Gu Tianni was also surprised behind him. Hao Miu said, do you really want to go to war with the Sea King Palace for someone who was once expelled by the Gu family? I advise you to think again. Guchanga stood in front of Gu Tianni and said, Tianni has always been the jewel of my Gu family, and you have no right to bully her. If today the Sea King Palace insists on harming my sister, then today I will kill you all. In the sky above Dao Tian Immortal Palace, 2 massive ships appeared, emitting light, with purple power and lightning intertwining. Hao Miu prepared to take out a decree. He said, kill us? Ha ha ha. The young master of Gu family has a big mouth. If you want to protect her, then don't blame me. He opened the decree and shouted angrily, the Sea King has ordered, today we must capture Gu Tianni to avenge the 7th princess. His subordinates behind him shouted, avenge the 7th princess. Guchanga coldly asked, with just you, what is the Sea King to me? Guchanga flew into the air and shouted, the will of the primordial returns to my body. Instantly, a purple power surrounded Guchanga and floated around him. Hao Miu below also launched his attack, letting out a furious shout, as blue and purple light appeared in the air. Hao Miu roared, Guchanga, do you think I'm here just for show? Guchanga thought to himself, no. You are a tool I can use. In the air, the purple light and blue light intertwined, and the entire continent was destroyed. Dao Tian Immortal Palace's subordinates shouted, this is the secret technique of the primordial devil. Sect. I didn't expect that Guchanga has such power in his hands, enough to withstand the power of a great saint. Subordinates beside them resisted with all their strength, shouting, if it weren't for the runic support from Dao Tian Ancient City, it would have already been half destroyed. In the enemy camp, the mermaids were also bathed in the purple light, unable to resist. After a fierce battle, Guchanga stood in the air and said, even a great saint is nothing special. If you came here to avenge the 7th princess, then remember. In Dao Tian Immortal Palace, my words are the true justice. Hao Miu roared, kid, Gu family is bullying people too much. Guti and Ni killed our Sea King Palace people first, and now